The home stretch of this NBA regular season, as March is a month of madness in college hoops and postseason positioning around the NBA. A 12-game slate yesterday in the association, a ton of teams in action, a lot of games to break down before the madness picks up once again in the 2024 Men's NCAA Tournament on this Sweet 16 Thursday. We start in Denver, where late last night, the Nuggets were a 7.5-point home favorite, even without Jamal Murray hosting the big three of the Phoenix Suns. In entering yesterday, DRS, the line made sense to be posted where it was. Denver, since the All-Star break, 15-2 entering last night. They had won 4 straight games. Phoenix, when booked as a dog since the break, 5 times, just 1-4 straight up and against the spread. So the Suns needed a win to prove they could be true conference contenders, and that's what Phoenix got outright as a 7.5-point underdog on the road at altitude, 104-97 over the Nuggets.
Yeah, take a look at what happened with the Phoenix Suns. The big three did play last night, if you want to say that. Kevin Durant certainly was the lead dog, 30 points and 13 rebounds on 12 of 20 from the floor. That's tremendous. But you check in on Bradley Beal, who's questionable coming into that game, 37 minutes, 3 for 11 from the floor, only 10 points. And then Booker, 5 of 17 over 37 minutes and only 17 points. That's a quality win for the Suns going to elevation because, once again, we're looking at the Suns as saying, let's round into form here. You want to see the big three playing well and they pick up victories. But sometimes I like these type of wins. And yes, Jamal Murray didn't play, but there's still Nikola Jokic out there on that court who's going to be the MVP this year in the NBA. And you got that victory, a much needed win, because when you parlay it over, both of these teams are really fighting for position. You say to yourself, well, we know where Denver's at. Not really right now. That was a big loss last night that other teams failed to capitalize on, which still leaves them at the top of the standings in the West. But when you take a look here at the Phoenix Suns, they're fighting like heck to get out of that 7-8 seed to try to get back up to that 6 seed. That's a big win for the Suns and really a big loss for the Nuggets.
As we said, DRS, right? Since the All-Star break, we were pretty comfortable with the 10 teams in either conference to make the postseason. The top 6 already into the playoffs, of course, 7 through 10 into the play-in tournament. Things are interesting out west, given the fact the Houston Rockets have won 10 straight. We'll look at that game in just a moment. But still, when you have those teams like Phoenix and Denver, each game important. The Nuggets still remain in the top spot. Minnesota wins by 15 at home against the Pistons. OKC loses to Houston last night at home without SGA there in the lineup. Still a half-game advantage for the Nuggets for the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. Phoenix now in the 7th spot, a half game behind the Dallas Mavericks, who sit with that 6th seed, having won 5 straight games. So a big game yesterday then, of course, in Denver. Now we go to Philadelphia, where the Sixers are trying to battle to get into the top 6 and out of the play-in tournament. It's going to be difficult without Joel Embiid, and when the referees admit to blowing a call down the stretch that would have sent Kelly Oubre to the line with free throws to win the game last night at home. Instead, the Clippers win in regulation, holding on at the end, 108-107. Now, Philly does cover as a 7-point dog, but the controversy, DRS, as James Harden returned to Philadelphia last night, was Kelly Oubre driving the lane at the end, fouled by Paul George. Kawhi Leonard makes a clean play at the rim to deny Oubre's game-winning attempt. Nick Nurse storms onto the court to say, "What are you guys doing?" It turned out afterward the official said, yes, we missed a call on Paul George. It should have been a foul, and Oubre should have shot free throws to win the game for the 76ers. But as the record book will stand, the Clippers win by 108-107.
Yeah, what the Sixers should do is put in a protest, pay the $10,000, and just watch it go to charity because you'll never win it anyway. I always find that amazing where it's like, yeah, we admitted it. We blew the call. Like, you're not going to go back out and say, okay, let's run this back for the final 5 seconds of the basketball game. But it always hurts. Like, the team that gets caught up in that bad moment never likes that letter coming the next day by Federal Express saying, you know what, we blew that call. You were supposed to win. And maybe at the end of the season, we just cost you a seed line here because we made the wrong call and you would have won that basketball game. But again, life isn't fair all the way through, and the Clippers really needed that win and got it. James Harden wasn't great in that game, but still ended up with 16 and 14 here, which was good enough for that victory. And whether a play at the rim got called or not, look, the refs didn't call it in game, so you can say it was a great block at that point here by Kawhi Leonard. Foul on Paul George. Who knows what happens? The one thing we do know is the Sixers covered, the Clippers won. They're not going to replay it. There is going to be no protest, and away you go.
All 5 starters for Los Angeles scored in double figures. They had 2 off the bench as well, reach at least 10 points. The Clippers have been struggling since the All-Star break. Even with the win last night on the road in Philadelphia, they're just 9-10. They did not cover as a 7-point road favorite. LA has only covered 5 times in their 19 games since the All-Star break. The Sixers now have been an underdog in 9 of their last 11. Of course, without Joel Embiid, they are 4-5 against the spread. 2 of those victories outright. Philly sits a half game behind Miami. That's the 7-8 difference in the play-in tournament positions at this moment. Philadelphia a game and a half back behind Indiana, who holds on to that 6th spot in the Eastern Conference standings. Now to the NBA's hottest team. The Houston Rockets make it 10 victories in a row. Last night in overtime in Oklahoma City. Sure, no Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for the Thunder, but the Rockets make it 10 straight. 132-126 in overtime. 10 in a row for Houston.
And Green, how about a great performance on the road in a big spot here, getting 37 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists. This team is rounding into form at the right time, but maybe just a little bit too late. The good thing for the Rockets is there's not only 2 or 3 games left in the regular season, you have roughly a dozen or so you can still get that 10th overall seed as they continue to push the Golden State Warriors. And maybe this is one of those jump-off positions for the Rockets next year if they don't get in. They played extremely well down the stretch, spend some money in the offseason, get another veteran or 2, maybe to work out, but that's a great win. And also, we talk about in that Phoenix Suns Denver Nuggets game, great win, big loss. That's a big loss for OKC, who could have climbed into a tie at least in first place in the Western Conference if they picked up this victory, but weren't able to do so. I just love the fact that the Warriors are being pushed by the Rockets here, and it's not all said and done. Like, okay, Lakers are in, Warriors are in, let's rest their wep. It doesn't matter at this point. It does matter. And also, if you don't watch out Los Angeles Lakers, they got a big win last night as well, you might be getting caught by the Houston Rockets as well. Impressive stuff here overall. I love it.
The Lakers make it 5 in a row. They have a 2.5 game advantage over Golden State for what is the 9 seed as the Dubs sit in that 10th spot. The Lakers, a big victory on the road last night in Memphis, 136-124 over the Grizzlies. The Lakers keep playing games that feature a ton of offense and going over. Same with the Rockets. Sure, in overtime. Total last night, 226. Skies over in OKC. 7 of these 10 wins for Houston in a row. The over has hit. The Rockets have also covered in 9 of those 10 victories, including 3 outright victories as an underdog. Now, Oklahoma City, for a majority of this year, DRS, one of the best cover teams in the NBA, right alongside Orlando. Only 3 covers now for the Thunder in their last 11 games. So Houston, still a game behind Golden State for that 10th and final spot in the play-in tournament. Golden State continues to win on the road, which is a complete juxtaposition from where the Dubs were a year ago. One of the worst road teams in the NBA. They made it to the postseason based on what they did at the Chase Center in San Francisco. They've got a losing record at home, and they're 5 games above 500 on the road straight up, 20-15, despite losing Draymond Green to an ejection less than 4 minutes into the opening quarter. That left Stephen Curry rather emotional. Golden State rallies 101-93. Andrew Wiggins scores 13 points in that 4th and final quarter, and the Dubs win outright as a 4.5-point road underdog.
Yeah, and you take a look overall here, what Orlando Magic has done on the season. They've had a very good year, 42-30 overall now with that loss. But coming into that game, Ben, 25-10 on their home court here, facing the Golden State Warriors on a back-to-back. This should have been a game that the Orlando Magic would have been able to win, but not, because why? Defense by the Golden State Warriors, and that includes only 4 minutes out of Draymond Green last night. Orlando held to 42% as a team at home, 31% from three-point range. And how about this? You want to win close games, Ben? You got to be better than 52% as a team from the free throw line. Great win by the Warriors. Tough one for the Magic.
Golden State now 16-9-1 against the spread as an underdog this year. Last night, their 8th outright victory on the road in Orlando. The Magic under in 12 of its last 16 games as well.